Confused by inflation, disinflation, and deflation? You're not alone, but understanding these terms could make or break your portfolio. Inflation eats away at your paycheck, while disinflation just slows the damage. Deflation? That's what tech delivers every year. Like when iPhones get cheaper. We're breaking down what these terms really mean, and why the Fed's inflation obsession might be costing you. Watch the full video, because knowing the difference could save you money and sanity in this economy.
Now, Gary, as we mentioned, we're going to transition to our fifth and final thing, which is an educational thing coming from DKI intern Sam Jane. I'll turn it over to you. You're going to lead this with Sam, and maybe if we could remind everybody who Sam is. We're really excited to have him as a guest on the show and closing out our fifth and final educational thing. Gary.
Thanks, Rob. I'm excited to announce DKI star intern Samaksh Jain. If that's hard for you to pronounce, feel free to call him Sam, or just think of it in your head any way you want. Samaksh comes to us from Rutgers University. He's been with us for a month or two now, doing a fantastic job. Bright mind, great attitude, hard worker. Sam, thanks for joining us today. Glad to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate joining here right now.
All right, terrific. So let's talk about a key question we got from one of our viewers. Last week, one of our viewers came in and said, wait a minute, what is the difference between inflation, disinflation, deflation? I thought it was a great question. And so because we had terrific viewers here who asked good questions, let's answer it for them. So let's start with the basic one that terrifies everyone. Sam, what's inflation?
Yeah, inflation is just a general increase in the price level of goods and services over time. It's essentially something that would cost $100 today. A year from now, it'll probably cost $102. It's just that increase in price over time that keeps on happening.
All right. So lately, the inflation has been running far greater than 2%, but we'll let you off on that one. Definitely more than $102 for most things, and certainly for groceries, regardless of what the Bureau of Labor Statistics says. But great description. All right. Now, what is disinflation and how is that different from inflation?
Yeah, so disinflation is essentially prices are still rising, but they're not rising as highly as before. So something that would have already reached $105, now it's only reaching $103. So it's slowing the pace of inflation.
All right. So the example we like to give is if you have an inflation rate of 9% and that goes to 3%, you still have inflation. Your prices are still rising, but because you're going from 9 to 3%, that's called disinflation. It's actually a change in the rate of change for all of you calculus geeks out there. I'm sure you remember your high school calculus. All right, now let's talk about my favorite one, deflation.
So deflation is essentially just a decline in the prices over time. So instead of something staying at $100 till next year, that thing would now cost $97, and now you're happy you can buy more of it.
All right, terrific. So lower prices, people are happy about that. All right, so now let's talk about some of the myths out there about inflation and deflation. So why is it that fiat economists, who we like to make fun of on the show, constantly are afraid of deflation? What do they say is going to happen?
Well, fiat economists mostly just argue that people would not buy the same products right now. They would wait for another year to go and buy whatever they were going to buy right now instead. The logic that doesn't make sense to me, why would you wait to buy groceries for a year? You have to keep eating food. You have to keep buying stuff eventually, because people will keep on purchasing. They might delay purchases for a few months, but eventually they will make that purchase.
Exactly. That's the key thing. They always like to terrify people and say, if people are worried prices are going to decrease, no one would buy anything. The economy will grind to a halt. We'll all be poor, right? And I remember having this conversation with one of your predecessors, Andrew Brown. He was a terrific intern from the University of Tennessee. And we were talking about this. And I said, all right, Andrew, let's go through what I think your big expenses are. You've got tuition, you have rent, you have groceries, you have a car, you have gas to put in the car, you got to get to work, things going on. I said, what percentage of your monthly expenses have I covered? He said, at least 95%. I said, great. How many of those things would you delay by a year if you thought they'd be cheaper a year from now? He's like, none of them. You need to eat. You have to be housed. If you need a winter coat, you have to buy that. So I think you're exactly right. The key thing is they try to tell us that if we thought prices would be lower, no one would buy anything. But most of what we buy for most of the country are things that we need now, right? You can't delay food or rent or, having a car if you want to get to work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Give me an example then of an industry that is very popular in the United States where prices do drop every year and yet we have huge growth in it.
Well, something like consumer electronics, and I remember the iPhone XS Max would cost $1,500 when it first arrived, but now you can get an iPhone for about $900, and that's happening only because prices are decreasing, and yet growth is happening because more people want to buy that iPhone.
All right. So in your lifetime, how many phones or computers or laptops or consumer electronic items have you bought, do you think?
Well, easily over 15 or 20.
Okay. And when you bought them, did you ever think that the price would be higher in a year, or did you know that they would always be lower in a year?
Well, it's almost given that the prices would be lower because the technology is improving, and especially like older models, they have to sell them out eventually, so they would lower prices for that, which was one of the reasons sometimes we would take an older model, but I would never expect the price to rise later for like an iPhone.
Exactly. In other words, the certainty that prices will fall doesn't stop people from buying. It doesn't bring the economy to a halt. Now, let's talk about a key thing here. I want you to tell me what you think will lead to you having more money in the future, right? Let's talk about the economic growth for the Sam Jane portfolio. Is it saving and investing on one hand, or is it spending on, fun things, consumption?
Investing would give a higher return.
Okay. So the point here is that you grow your economy, you grow your wealth, you grow your economic prosperity with saving and investing. You destroy it with consumption, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the great question then. Wouldn't that also be true for a society? And if that's the case, right? Now I want you to imagine the opposite of deflation. I want you to imagine huge inflation. Let's say prices are going to be up 30, 40, 50% next year. Would you save those dollars, or would you buy as much as you could right now?
Honestly, I would buy right now because I know when prices are that high, I will not be able to afford whatever I'm buying at this price today. So it would be logical to buy today.
Exactly. So the point is, stable prices encourage smart people to save and invest, and that's what grows the economy. Rising prices encourage people to consume, making us all more poor. All right. Well, Sam, you are now miles ahead of every PhD level economist working at the Federal Reserve. This is why, if I had my way, I would take you and Cashin, our other star intern, versus everybody at the Federal Reserve, and I think we could run a better economy with just the two of you in that building. What do you think?
Well, I don't want to be overconfident, but I think that's plausible.
All right. 5 things, DKI viewers, I present to you the next chairman of the Federal Reserve, Sam Jane. At a minimum, knowing the difference between economic growth caused by deflation or stable prices and the economic growth lost with inflation puts him miles ahead of at least Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen. All right.
Very good, Sam. Thanks so much for jumping on. Appreciate you shedding some insight. As always, we'll bring additional educational topics to this week's 5 things. To close out, Gary, I'll turn it over to you for final closing thoughts for this week. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Gary, turning it over to you for final thoughts.
All right, big round of applause for DKI interns Cash and Crow and Samaksh Jain. These guys are finally back in the United States, fully operational Death Star here. Great job by both of them this week doing terrific research. The writing is really good. The images are good. Good job, guys. Great to see. Rob, as always, thanks for doing this with me and for putting so many of Flying V's great resources behind everything we're doing at Deep Knowledge Investing and with the 5 things. And for everyone watching this, thank you so much. We know your time is valuable. We appreciate you spending it with us. If you want to give us a like or subscribe, that would be terrific. But hey, do what you want. We're not the boss of you. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, everybody.